Welcome into another edition of Bleav in Panthers here on Bleav Podcast Networks, brought to you by the fine folks at Fanduel. Desmond Johnson here with you with the all-time leading rusher, Jonathan Stewart, and a special guest with us here today, host of the Bucky Brooks Show, Bleav personality, national NFL correspondent, Bucky Brooks in the house. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
Man, what's going on? What's happening? We're on different sides of the rivalry this week, so I don't know whether I should be real short with my responses, if I should really open up. I mean, since you guys are representing the Panthers, I'm on the other side with the Jags. I just got to be easy. I got to gauge.
Yeah, man. We do have one thing in common, though. What, 96 was the year that we were both entered the teams into the NFL.
Yeah.
So it's the battle. It's the battle of who belongs.
Well, look, Jacksonville is very crucial to the Panthers' postseason hopes, because I don't know if you've heard this before, Bucky, but there's a thing going around where the only two times the Panthers have made the Super Bowl, 2003, 2015. There were some things that happened before that. Jennifer Lopez got divorced in the same calendar year. That happened 2003, happened 2015, and it just happened this year. She divorced Ben Affleck. Ohio State won the national championship in football the year prior. That happened in 2002. That happened in 2014. And we opened at Jacksonville both of those years. So the stars are aligning. The stars are aligning. We're here.
Okay.
We're here.
So what you're saying is we're the firefighters for the Savannah Bananas. So what you're saying is we're just along for the ride. It's no need for us to really play this. We're acting. We're scouting.
Be part of history.
Be part of history. Just come along for the ride, bud. Come along for the ride. We got a lot we're going to get into real quick while we got Bucky here with us. Of course, Panthers, Jaguars, 1 o'clock p.m. on Fox Eastern Standard Time. We open the 2025 season. We are here. Panther players to watch this season. We'll get our Fanduel Bet of the week. I saw a couple of really cool quick bets that we'll talk about in there, and some quick hits around the league, because I would be remiss if I did not get a chance to talk about what in the world happened with Dallas and Micah Parsons while we were off, Stu, between our last show and this one, and how Green Bay got him. And I just saw that the Panthers were actually approached by the Cowboys as well, and they wanted Derek Brown and 2 first-round picks, and Dan Morgan said, no, let's get out of here. And that's why Derek Brown's still a Panther, and that's why Micah Parsons is up in Green Bay. But let's get into this real quick. I wanted to get from you first, Bucky, the Panthers' outlook on the season. All the media, all the stories and everything we've seen regarding the Panthers, and we know about the trials and tribulations of Bryce Young and Dave Canales being a second-year head coach. For you, as a kind of an outsider looking in, who do you think needs to step up? It could be a player, it could be a coach, it could be a group of players. Like, where do you think with this Panther team where they are right now, who are you looking for to step up immediately to kind of take the charge as they kind of move or try to move out of mediocrity?
Look, I think first things first, I think it starts with the head coach and even the general manager, Dan Morgan. The hardest thing to do is that first season, because as much as you think you know, you have no idea until you get into the roles and all the responsibilities that you have to handle. What normally happens is after that first year, you have a better gauge of what your role is within the team. And so for Dave Canales, who has more of a direct responsibility to the on-field product, now that I know what it takes to be a head coach, how do I settle in and make those adjustments to make sure that I give the team the best opportunity to roll? And so we saw the connection first with Bryce Young and how Bryce Young sat down. Then he had opportunity later in the year, and he showed a tremendous amount of growth and maturity and those things bouncing back. Well, now that you've seen that from him, how do you build the team up around it? You made some acquisitions. T-Mac comes on board to give them a guy that could be and should be a number 1 receiver. But also, how do we script it and build the play calls around what Bryce Young does really, really well? We can talk about all the other players, but we know that this is a quarterback-driven league. And if you make the quarterback comfortable, the team tends to grow and flourish based on his comfort level and his success.
Yeah, I got a question here, Bucky. If you're Jacksonville's defense, what's the blueprint to disrupt a young quarterback like Bryce, given his stature, given his history, right? You know, there's been probably more bad film than there has been good film. So there's a lot to study there as far as how to disrupt Bryce. Then the second part to that, if you're the Carolina Panthers, how do you counter that?
Yeah, look, I think the first things first, whenever you have a quarterback, a young quarterback, it's a combination of changing the picture that he sees and also putting pressure on him. In a perfect world, you'd like to get pressure with 4 so you can have maximum defenders in the coverage. But you would like to change the look. Sometimes show them a single high safety look and move to split zone. sometimes show off coverage and roll to cloud coverage at the snap. See if you can disrupt his rhythm by making him hesitant in the pocket by the look changing post snap. Then up front is about trying to see how many guys can you get around him in his space so he's uncomfortable within the pocket. You would love to get hits on him and sacks, but if you can't get there, can you make him feel the pass rush so he quickens the clock in his head? And from the Panthers standpoint is you want this game played on your terms. And Dave Canales knows what is best for Bryce Young and what gets him going. And so you want to make sure that early in the game you get him going, whether that's quick screens, simple routes, run game with play action concepts. You want to get him into a rhythm as soon as possible because normally, man, once those guys kind of see a couple completions go, they tend to play very, very well for the rest of the game.
National NFL correspondent Bucky Brooks here with us on Bleav in Panthers. You can watch the Bucky Brooks show on Bleav's YouTube channel. It's on 2-3 times a week during the season. Now, Bucky, besides being an NFL correspondent, before that, in a previous life, you were an ex-NFL player, and you actually played wide receiver. I feel like the wide receiver room in Carolina is the strongest it's been top to bottom, maybe ever in the history of the franchise in terms of number 1 through like number 6, in terms of the depth they have there. Your thoughts on them trading Adam Thielen back to Minnesota last week and putting some confidence in the 2 first-round picks they've gotten over the past 2 years in Xavier Legette and Ted McMillan?
Well, I think, one, you want to clear that room out when you have veterans, right? When you have a veteran in place, Adam Thielen, who is used to playing in those things, the only way for the young guys to improve is you have to put them on the field. You hope that what has happened, all the young guys that were in the room with Adam learned all that they could learn from him, and then you move on. Think about it as an orange. You want to squeeze and get all the juice out of it, then you want to discard the orange. For Adam, you gave him an opportunity to go back home, which I'm sure everybody wants to finish their career maybe where it started. So he has the opportunity to go back to the Vikings. And so it was a mutual parting of the ways, and it allows you to put those young guys on the field. For Bryce Young, what Adam Thielen did is he served a necessary role. The younger the quarterback, the more experience you want around him. And as he grows older and evolves, then you can surround him with young guys where they can grow together. That's where the Panthers are right now. Year 3, it is time for him to grow and for everyone to grow together because the chemistry and connectivity is critical as they begin to chase some of these title dreams that they have.
That's good. Speaking of receivers, I'd be crazy if I didn't ask about Travis Hunter and where, where is he going to be at on Sunday? Is he going to be on offense? Is he going to be on defense? Because in my opinion, if he's not on both, if he's not playing defense and offense, that's a wasted draft pick, in my opinion.
He's kind of got to, don't he, at this point? Like, I mean, all the hype and everything.
Well, no, he's going to play both ways. Now, I would liken this to when we were in high school. I think when you're a talented player, a lot of times your coach will try and find ways to use you on both sides of the ball. It may be full-time on one end and maybe part-time, got to have a situation. We'll put you on the other side because now it's a critical situation. I see Travis Hunter's role evolving like that. Full-time offense, got to have a situational defender on defense. So you can look for him to be out wide and in the slot on offense whenever the Jaguars are on the field. On defense, think about watching number 12 run onto the field, 3rd down red zone, 2-minute, got to get off the field moments. He'll be there. Because they're playing so much zone coverage, it plays into his strengths as a see ball, get ball defender because his ball skills are superb. His instincts and awareness really stands out. But by using him as a part-time player, maybe you can preserve him so you can let him play in both of those roles the entire season.
Are you saying, Bucky, that you consider Travis a defensive player first, or no? You said offense player.
No, he's saying he's an offensive player first.
You think he's a wide receiver first, and then he can also play some cornerback, or
he's also they have him pegged as that. Like when they were going through the practice routine, the way they split the reps, it was 3 days on offense, 1 day on defense. And part of the reason he spent so much time on offense is, as Jonathan can attest to, the verbiage on offense is significant. And if you go away from it 2 or 3 days, it literally is like learning a foreign language. And so the longer you're away, the harder it is to go back to the huddle. And remember, most of these guys, and Travis in particular, played in a spread system where it was signal from the sideline. that is visual learning. So you look at the sign, you're able to walk to your spot while processing. Well, now you're asking them to go into the huddle to hear this verbiage that can be extended 10, 15 words where he has to literally, and he has to literally hear it, process it, go to the right side, but also know what the audible is because that's tagged on the play. That is a completely different process than the process that he learned in coming from Colorado. And so you wanted to spend more time on offense. And also, we talk about the quarterback, and we're talking about Trevor Lawrence. The best way to get the quarterback going is to put the most explosive, dynamic athletes on offense to allow him to look good by maybe doing some high percentage screens and quicks and those things where those guys can take short passes and turn them into long gains.
I was trying to think of the last player that had success doing this. I think Devin Hester was doing this a little bit, where he was playing some wide receiver and other positions at kick returner. But the last player I can think of that really did this successfully was probably Deion in Dallas, where they had him playing when they lost Alvin Harper and they didn't have a number 2 wide receiver, and Deion came in. They started putting Deion opposite Michael Irvin, and of course he was still the top cornerback in the game. He's probably the last one I can think of that was able to do that over the course of a season. And even then, it felt like it was only like a season or two where they really did it. And then, of course, the Cowboys started to fall apart after that. But
he's the last full-time player to do it.
That was 30 years ago.
Yeah,
that was like 30 years ago.
Before Deion, there was a guy who doesn't get enough credit for doing it. It was a guy named Roy Green who played for the Cardinals when they were in St. Louis. He was a full-time wide receiver and DB, one of the best to do it. The other guys have been like part-time players. You saw Troy Brown, full-time wide receiver slot. They would use them occasionally on nickel. Julian Edelman. There've been some others that have done it, but no one that has kind of occupied the role where, hey, this is what we're doing. He is going to be a player. Now, the thing that is intriguing, this is going to open up the floodgates potentially at the collegiate level, because now every 5-star recruit is going to ask, hey, well, I was a top running back, and in high school I was this, and like Jonathan knows, like every time we go to goal line,
I played point guard, and I was on the baseball team, best athlete on the field. So you might as well carry the ball.
Like 10 center my senior year in high school.
Yeah, you got everybody.
You got the best athletes out there. All of a sudden, that one goal line carries.
Yeah,
because they think it's easy, right?
So I see it a lot in high school. I see it a lot in high school.
Yeah, so now on Friday, Derek Brown is over there tapping that. Hey, let me go tailback. I play tailback.
So this is how it start off, Bucky.
Don't let the school taste for you.
This is how it start off. Hey, man, let me get in that fullback. I block for you. I block for you. Let me go ahead and get. Let me line up at tight end. I got the hands, coach. I be in the back end zone. Just throw it up.
And then it's like 350-pound fullbacks back there in the backfield.
Especially when you see guys like Cam Newton, right? Cam, big as all world, and he's diving over the end zone. He's like, I can do that. I'm bigger than Cam. Let me go ahead and get that carry.
Panthers Jaguars 1:00 on Sunday on Fox. You mentioned Trevor Lawrence before. We were talking about it off air, Bucky. It's weird because I was like, I can't call him a bust. The dude's throwing for like 3,700 yards average, like every year or whatever. And last year he only played 10 games due to injury. And I'm sort of looking at his stats and stuff, and I'm like, is this a prove it year for Trevor Lawrence? Because we forget how touted he was coming out of high school, coming out of college. He won everywhere he was. I think he only lost like 2 games at Clemson or something, like total. Like he won a national championship there as a starter. He was the number 1 ranked high school quarterback coming out for his class. Justin Fields was like number 2 in that class. And then he's been in Jacksonville. He's already, gotten another bag. He's already got a $200+ million contract. And we forget he's 25. He's 25 years old. It feels like he's been in the league for a while. Your thoughts on Trevor Lawrence? What would constitute a successful season for him? Is he past the stats and stuff now where Jacksonville just needs to make a move in terms of as a team for him to get success? Kind of where Josh Allen was the first couple of years with him in Buffalo. The team started getting successful. He started getting more notoriety himself. Or is this the ceiling for Trevor Lawrence? Is this what he is?
I'm gonna say this because we're gonna answer it 2 different ways. As a player, Trevor ain't got nothing to prove because he already got the bag. So the bag, like the check doesn't come out of the account once they deposit. So he's already won. He's already won the bag. He's already, whatever y'all think about me, whatever y'all say it while you walking, because the bag, the direct deposit is solid. We good. I think from the football world.
The director of politics.
Yeah, the football world. He certainly has a lot to prove, because when you pay someone and you give them the pass to enter the $50 million club, there's certainly a level of expectation that comes with that. And so you want to see the production and performance match what we deem to be a $50 million quarterback. And it hasn't been that to that point. I think Trevor would tell you that, hey, he hasn't played to that level. Now, the thing is, when you paid him the money, you're married to him. Like, he is your franchise quarterback, and he's going to be there for at least the next 3 or so years. Now it's about setting him up so he can have success, not only to validate why you paid him, but to get this franchise to the next level. Liam Cohen was hired specifically to help Trevor Lawrence maximize his talent. Liam Cohen is coming off a year in which he did that with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield had career highs in all the major categories. Liam Cohen also was with the Rams when Sean McVay unlocked Jared Goff. So there's some familiarity with taking a former number 1 quarterback and putting him in a situation where he can have success. And when I look at this offense, I think Liam is going to use the lessons that he learned from Baker Mayfield, but also what he watched and observing what Sean McVay did with Jared Goff to build an offense that works for the quarterback. Because here's what's true in the National Football League. We can always talk about, hey, man, what we need to do is this. And then when you get the player in the building, then you say, oh, well, what we ought to do is this based on how he plays. And so now putting a system in place that accentuates the positives of Trevor's game and minimizes the weaknesses that he's shown on tape.
Yeah, because you got guys like Burrow, Herbert. They're kind of, always in that floating discussion as far as, okay, we need you guys to get over the hump. But like you said, they ain't got nothing to prove in the sense of their value. But football-wise, having, for Trevor, a new offensive system coming into place, talk about how hard that can be for a quarterback in the sense of resetting the trajectory, right? Because you bring in a new coach, and it's, all bells and whistles, out the gate. Everybody's excited because we experienced that with Dave Canellis, right? Canellis was with if we can be honest here, I mean, Canellis probably set the table for Cohen over there at Tampa, because he was there before, right? Doing the same exact things, right? But talk about where the difficulties lie for Trevor Lawrence with a guy that's coming in with brand new energy, right? He's had so much turnover over the last several years. It's very similar to what we've experienced as Panther fans.
I think first things first is you got to build a connection between coach and player. Before we can talk about the X and O's and the playbook and how we can make the system better, there has to be a genuine belief that the player believes the coach believes in him and his talent. And then the coach has to find a way to trust the player and say that, oh, okay, I can work with this player, whatever. So that comes from a relationship that you build in the offseason, communication, push-pull between encouragement and challenge and those things. Then it's about, okay, these are the things that work for the quarterback. Do we have the personnel that can execute that? If we don't have the personnel, where do we get the personnel that can help him play at his best? All of those things are in play. And then the other thing is, as Liam Cohen has told me, how can I take some pressure off the quarterback? And Jonathan knows this as being a running back. The easiest thing that you can do is most games have featured like 65 offensive plays. If I can make it where I only need the quarterback to be great on 20 to 25 of those, that makes it easy. So that means let's see if we can run the ball 30 to 35 times. Let's see if we can bake some screens in 8 to 10 times. Let's see if we now can have some play actions another 8 or so times. And then there are a handful of drop back passes in these critical moments that the quarterback has to make. But if you build the offense where you have all these other guys involved and the quarterback not necessarily heavily involved in the decision-making, it makes the game a lot easier when it gets down to clutch time that, hey, we need you to make these plays because you've had enough timing and rhythm to let other guys carry you to this point. Now you have to be the big boy and make the big shot.
Bleav personality Bucky Brooks joining us here on the season opener edition of Bleav in Panthers here on Bleav Podcast Networks, brought to you by Fanduel. And it's our time of the show where we give you our Fanduel bet of the week. And of course, we finally got a game involving the Panthers that we can actually look at here and see if we want to do. I pulled it over since we were talking about Trevor Lawrence, and we're going to probably talk about Bryce Young here in just a second. I looked up passing props on here, and they've got one on here that's pretty interesting. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up here real quick for us, because they've got it where they've got Bryce Young and Trevor Lawrence, and you basically bet off of how much you think they're going to be able to pass for in this game. And with it being week 1, this is the healthiest both defenses are going to be for the season. They got Trevor Lawrence at over 239.5 passing yards in this game at minus 114. They got Bryce Young at over 213 yards, well, 213.5 yards in this game as well. Between those two, if I'm asking both of you guys, because, of course, I'm not a betting man, which one of those would you take? Would you take the Trevor Lawrence going over? Would you take Bryce going over? Would you take one of those going under in that betting scenario here on FanDuel?
I mean, but to me, it seems like the Bryce Young one is low. It's 213.
Yeah, 213.5.
I mean, it seems like he should almost fall out of bed and hit 50 in the passing game. I mean, that's a couple explosives and whatever. So I'm going to take the Bryce Young bet on that one. I mean, if I was a betting man, of course.
Yeah.
If I was a betting man too, I would take that as well, because I'm going off of the energy that Bryce Young left us with against Atlanta. When my boy came out there to Atlanta, he was over there throwing strikes, running touchdowns, scoring touchdowns. He's doing all of the things, right? So you got to take that same energy. That's what the Carolina Panther fans are basically reminiscing on, right? They're like, man, that last game gave us hope, right? And the game before that was when Chuba Hubbard was all over the place and scoring at will to close out game, right? And so these are the things that, give me the confidence and to say, okay, I'm taking Bryce with the over, right?
Yeah.
But also, too, just looking at this game in general, we've had such a history the last 7 years of starting off real slow. This is the year. This is the year that Carolina has to start fast. And a lot of times we say to ourselves, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Not this year.
Yeah.
We need these guys for their own sanity, for their own confidence to start off fast. And I think when you have an opponent like the Jaguars that are in a very similar situation as far as needing to get over the hump with their quarterbacks, the fan base wanting to make moves, as far as the stadium outlook and all the newness and all the things that, you want to basically say, man, look, we got all the intangibles. We got all the resources. Let's prove that we deserve it. Let's prove as a fan base that this isn't just glitz and glamour and revenue-driven opportunities for this team, but they are actually out there trying to win games. And this, in my opinion, is the Carolina Panther game. And, the history has to repeat itself. Like I said, y'all going to be part of history, hopefully.
Hopefully. Let's see if this works.
See, just the props. Just need us to show up. It reminds me of going to college and at North Carolina, what they would tell the scout team, hey, you're the all-pro squad. You're all pro. The guys wouldn't know. They wouldn't tell them they're Kodak or look squad. Hey, all pros. So the all pros run out and they'd be like, hey, we need you to play like this. Oh, we need you to fall down. When the guy does a double move, just fall down and play dead like a cow, and then we're throwing over the top. And so this is what you guys are hoping, that the Jaguars are willing participants in the play.
We'll take it. Yeah, we've gone through enough up here, but here in Carolina, we've gone through it.
You got a cramp. You got a cramp. You got a cramp. You didn't hydrate. So just fall down.
I'm actually glad, because a little sidebar before we get into keys of victory for the Panthers and the Jaguars. I'm glad you mentioned the University of North Carolina, because there was a bit of a debacle in Chapel Hill last night. I know that you are a graduate, and what your thoughts on whatever that was? Is Belichick over his head here in Chapel Hill with this situation? Like, because that was
no.
That was not.
Before you answer that question,
that was not.
Before you answer that question, is he over his? Listen, everybody else is over their head.
There you go. There you go.
Like, the coverage is outkicked.
Oh,
dude, they sold out. Michael Jordan and Mia Hamm in the stands. College game days there.
Jonathan is onto something, because look, let's be real. Belichick is like, I may have 10 before I take a knee. I'm gonna enjoy these 10. So I'm gonna take these 10 years and I'm enjoying. I get you get the best of me. And he's like, whatever that record is on the field that y'all worried about, I'm undefeated off the field right now. So I'm not worried about all that y'all talking. I'm good. He is like, however it goes, when I take a knee and you fold me up and put me in my Patriots jersey and I lay in the casket, I'm going out with a smile on my face. So he's good in that regard. But I'll say this, what the football world did not get, y'all did not get that this was a preseason game. So y'all got all excited thinking, because Belichick comes from the pros, y'all are looking at the score like it really mattered. It's a preseason game. He is trying to figure out what he has because they hadn't played. So he's looking at them like, okay, you know what?
He treated the Patriots like that too. Remember, they would always get off slow and they'd be like 1-3 or 2-2 or whatever, and he'd be like, "Yeah, we're kind of." They treated them like preseason games the first month, and then they would get rolling and go from there.
Get rolling. So the next two games, they play Charlotte, they play Richmond, get back on track. I think there's another winnable game there. Then I think they play Clemson. So then by the time they get to the Tigers, maybe they'll be a little better.
I think Clemson's the toughest game. So
hey, Desmond, I always remember that Bucky is a Tar Heel. So that was wonderfully said for a Tar Heel.
Made me pull a hole out.
Wrap that up in a bow, but I'm gonna tell you how it is. UNC, they ain't got it yet. It's okay.
No, they don't.
And I think people need to realize it's okay. Bill Belichick has time to figure it out. And if you don't give him time, well, you're gonna miss out on a lot of success. Because it's been proven throughout his history that it doesn't always start out like a championship squad. It doesn't always. It doesn't start off with 40 points victories. He's gonna build this thing out, and we're gonna one day be like, man, how he do that?
And I'm forget the fact that TCU was in the national championship game like 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was a good. They played really good. That defense was stout too.
Oh, look. It's one of those things, man. Nobody wants to be someone's homecoming game. The coronation was already there. ESPN is there. You're playing a night game. Everybody's there. You got all the celebs. You got Jordan in the building. I mean, you have everybody. Lawrence Taylor. I'm not gonna lie. I got excited when they ran out the tunnel. I was like, "Ooh, that thing is." I mean, no one loves a primetime game more than I do. And I was like, "Ooh, this is the one that you want to be at," because this thing was jumping. Now it didn't go that way. Look. It didn't go that way, but Jonathan knows that normally sets up a great night. It normally sets up a great night.
He's an Oregon Duck. They're used to doing this in their sleep.
This is come on, man. It normally
this is new for us. We don't experience this kind of sensation in the air in the fall, in Chapel Hill. Usually this is reserved.
They had Eric Church out there on TV, introducing the UNC football team.
It's so about 9 minutes into the first quarter, and from that point, it just went.
If this was a Disney movie, we would have stopped the game after that touchdown.
After the jumbo package let off, I was like, first of all, when y'all let off with jumbo package, y'all ain't fooling nobody. Y'all trying to make sure that y'all get them boys up in them gaps, so that way y'all can figure out how to stop the run with jumbo, because it's intimidating, and you're gonna hit them with the play action. That's it's the easiest game in the book.
Oh, let me get it back to Panthers Jaguars real quick.
Back to the NFL.
Let's get back to the thing here. Keys to victory. What do you think? What do you guys think? And Buck, I'm gonna let you do Jags. Stu, I'm gonna let you do Panthers. What's the number one key to victory for both these teams going into week one after what we've seen in preseason and roster changes and everything else? Buck, let's go with you first with the Jags.
I think for Jacksonville, the most important part is going to be able to run the football. Liam Cohen has talked about being a team that is physical at the point of attack. Every conversation that he has had since he took the job over is talking about physicality, toughness, and running the ball. That is the recipe and the formula. And we talked about how do you get Trevor Lawrence up and going? Well, the running game does that, because then it sets up not only the control and physicality at the line of scrimmage, but it sets up the big plays in the passing game. Look, man, you want to run to win, you want to throw the score. And so you have to be able to do that. So to me, it's about the running game. And then on defense, it's about turnovers. This is a defense that has struggled taking the ball away in the past. And so if they can get a turnover too, we know one is the biggest deciding factor in football, but it's also the thing that could spark up a home crowd that is ready and waiting to see a dub. They need the turnovers, and turnovers happen early.
Sto, what's the Panther number one key for you?
Man, look, you got to protect Bryce Young. Okay, you got to keep him upright, especially versus Jags pass rush. I think another part of protecting Bryce is running the ball, right? Bucky hit on it earlier. Play action. Those are the chunk plays that, I am looking forward to seeing T-Mac take the role of, right? Play action, hit him across the middle deep on a dig or something. And get an opportunity to find some momentum, right? If we don't have momentum early and often, it just becomes a stale game for us. And so I really want to make sure that we protect Bryce so that way he can feel the rhythm. Feel the rhythm, feel the vibe. But I think that's the key for offense, right? On defense, man, look, we got to stop the run.
Yep.
Look, last year it weighs on me heavy how many yards we gave up a game. And the running game for the Jaguars, ETN, we'll be able to see two brothers on the field on Sunday. But hopefully, your ETN doesn't get the best of us. And I think Derek Brown and company, the new additions that we picked up in this free agency market, I think we're going to see a defense that has a different outlook when it comes to stopping the run. And that's what I'm most excited to watch is to see how much of a difference this free agency and this offseason actually has become for the Carolina Panthers.
I think with me, sticking with the whole stop the run thing that both of you guys mentioned that they had to do, I'm kind of curious if Dave Canales has said this for the entire time he's been here, that he wants to be a run first football team. I want to see them commit to running the ball, like on our side. The money we gave Chuba Hubbard, what they did in terms of bringing in Rico Dowdle, the 1,000-yard rusher that came from Dallas, and keeping Trevor Etienne, the 4th round pick that they drafted out of Georgia. You've got a collection of different types of running backs here. And something we mentioned last week, Stu, that rarely happens, the offensive line comes back intact from last year. Like, it's very rare to have all 5 of your starters there, plus the backups are pretty much there too. So that room has not really changed. So I'm looking for improvement overall. Like, I feel like the offensive line should be a top 10 unit in the offensive line for the money they've put into it and for what they're going to be doing from what we saw the last half of last year. If they're healthy, they should be them and the secondary should be the 2 pieces of this Panther team that kind of lead them forward. And I think, it's not a coincidence that one of your leaders, J.C. Horn, is part of that secondary, and one of your leaders, Robert Hunt's part of that offensive line. And they're kind of the ones that are the outspoken ones on the team. I'm looking for them to commit to running the ball and ripping off some runs to open up that play action for Bryce Young, so he's not having to throw the ball 40 times a game. Because I don't think he's a 40-time a game. He's not a Joe Burrow guy. You're not going to win throwing it 45 times a game with Bryce Young. If he's throwing it, I don't know, 25, 30 times, I think that's his cap. If you can get 120, 140 yards on the ground, Bryce gives you 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers. That's a recipe to win in Carolina, in my opinion. And the division's kind of in flux. I know Tampa's won it the past 3 years, but they've lost a lot of personnel on the coaching side. We've got one of them here in Charlotte, or a couple of them actually here in Charlotte. So it's kind of up there. It's up in the air. And again, J-Lo got divorced earlier this year, so we'll see if all this we'll see if all this comes together the way we think it might. Before we get Bucky out of here, I forgot to mention, we didn't even announce it, Stu. Something new we're doing this year. Normally we just do 1 episode a week, probably usually around Tuesdays during the season. We decided we're going to 2 episodes a week now. You'll be able to catch us immediately following the Panthers games live for live reaction on the Bleav YouTube channel. So you'll be able to come in, comment with us, voice your frustration, voice your excitement based off of whatever happened in the Panther game, and we'll be there with you at the end of each game, and then we'll have our regular episode midweek Tuesday, Wednesdays during the rest of the football season. Real quick before everybody gets out of here, quick hits from around the league. The whole Micah Parsons situation in Dallas incredibly came to an end the last week. I don't think it was what we were expecting. As former players, did that tell you something happened personally between them and that which caused it to escalate to this point? Or was there something else going on? Because to me, I'm like, if that was an option before, you should have did it before the draft. Like if you were trying to do this to stop the run, like Jerry Jones is saying, how did this make that better? I know Micah's a pass rusher. He's an edge rusher, but he's also the best player on your team. So now you've just traded him away a week before the season starts. What does that do to the locker room? And I'm just trying to make this make sense. It feels like it was an emotionally driven trigger pull right there at the last minute by Jerry Jones. Me and Stu have gone on and on about Jerry Jones. Now he runs his
Jerry
team.
Jones still
Jerry
living
Jones.
in 96.
He really is. Thoughts on what happened here? Like, was this something where something I said and Jerry was like, you know what? I'm about to trade this dude. Like, I don't even care I don't care how good I'm trading him. You ain't gonna disrespect me. I'm Jerry Jones. Or did it just break down and they couldn't get anything done? Like, as players, what do you guys think actually maybe happened here?
I think multiple things may have happened that led Micah to be out the door. And I think everyone can be wrong in this situation and everyone can be right. I'll say this about Jerry Jones. I think Jerry Jones was wrong if he was negotiating directly with Micah and not dealing with the agent, because what that's doing is that's disrespectful to the representation. And if the player is, they talk to my agent, handle that, that's how he should go about it. But those are yesteryear tactics that Jerry Jones may have done. Now, some of the conversation that has come out, and Stu can always back this up, in the locker room. What happens when you begin to pay players? You begin to pay your best players. Your best players best represent the values that you want to have on your team from a cultural standpoint. Meaning, if we're going to reward the toughest, hardest working players, then the players that we pay need to be the toughest, hardest working players. And if we're saying that it's about the team, we over me, the player needs to reflect that. The conversation that's coming out of that locker room, that it wasn't always that when it came to dealing with Micah. You talk about strong personality and those things, but the hardest thing to deal with is someone that freelances and freestyles in a team environment. And so if you pay him the most money on everybody except for the quarterback, you've now given him a green light to do whatever the hell he wants to do when it comes to playing. And what that does is potentially a bunch of young guys coming up, they're then going to adopt those things because they've seen that behavior be rewarded. So in a way, this might be Jerry Jones taking back the locker room and saying, no, I'll pay whoever, but the people that we pay are going to be in line with what the values of the team are. And so that's why we'll move on from a good player and just say, hey, we'll deal with some lesser guys, but we got to have the right guys in the locker room.
That is a good point you bring up, Bucky, because they were starting to mention now that he's gone. Now I'm starting to hear reports that maybe there was some whatever in the locker room. Micah's podcast that he was doing in season might have been causing some issues within the locker room or whatnot. You haven't really seen any players stand up for him after he got traded from Dallas either. It's kind of like,
Yeah,
well,
that's what that was the point that I was going to make. You know, we was wrestling, tussling this before all of this actually came about, right? Like, oh, what the heck is Jerry Jones doing? Jerry just being Jerry again. Y'all might as well go ahead and watch Netflix because y'all figure out why Jerry doing what he's doing.
Yeah, go watch the Cowboys special. Yeah,
that's where it is, right? But as a player, you always speak up for your guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, I'll go to war on my guys. I'll beat somebody's behind if they talk about Cam, right? Everybody got something to say. Everybody has something to say about Cam Newton. I will beat your behind if you think you're gonna come to me talking about Cam. I'm the wrong one. And so you have whatever your relationship with certain players is, if it's in good standing, if it's in good stature, and they are a representation of something that you believe in, you will raise your hand and say, hey, that wasn't all the way right.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So the fact that there hasn't been, the Dak Prescott,
no noise, no conversation,
the top players,
nothing.
I mean, even veteran guys that aren't even on the team, Ezekiel Elliott, guys that have been around these guys, you would at least say like Michael Irvin or somebody. Like, hey, look,
nope, it's been quiet.
Michael Irvin was like literally like 30 minutes before the trade happened, was like, nah, that's not gonna happen. Jerry ain't crazy, he ain't gonna trade him. And then it went down like half an hour later, and he was just like, well,
And I'm not saying people are crickets because Micah's a bad person. I'm just saying it's crickets because for whatever reason within that organization, it made sense.
Yeah, so I'm glad you touched on that, because it felt like there was something, because you would have thought players would have came out for him before all this had happened. We need Micah, we need him in here, blah, blah, blah. I don't really remember any of that really going on either. Like, I don't remember a lot of the Cowboys kind of stepping up and saying, hey, like Dak, this could have been an opportunity for Dak Prescott to step up and be like, hey, this is my team. I'm the quarterback of America's team. I need Micah Parsons in here if we're going to win a Super Bowl this year and all the stuff we have planned. Never heard a word like that from them. So
the players will always let you know what's going on, either through what they say or what they don't say. That silence speaks volumes. The fact that no one has been like, oh my God, Micah, they were like, all right, at least we know. Now we got clarity.
All right, now we can move on.
And they traded him in the NFC. They traded him in the same conference too. On top of it,
we'll see you this year, Micah.
Yeah, we see you in 4 weeks. We're good.
We'll see you when y'all are beating the brakes off of us like I did 2 years ago in the playoffs. I guess
that tells you everything. Like there was no like, hey, what are we gonna do? They're like, all right, yeah, we got it. Now we on to the next.
All right, we'll end it with this. What's the besides Panthers Jaguars, of course? What's the game you're looking forward to the most to watch this week?
Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens.
That was mine. There we go. Sunday night, Baltimore and Buffalo.
And the reason why is because it's the MVP debate, but it's also the Buffalo Bills were terrific last year. I would say they overachieved given their roster. Well, now their expectations, because when Josh Allen wins the MVP, everyone's going to expect him not only to play at the level that he played at, but to lift the team like he lifted the team last year. And for Lamar Jackson, who played terrific, who was just as deserving of the MVP award, to them, it's all about the postseason. So this is an opportunity for them to go toe-to-toe to kind of, I would say, early send messages to one another about who's going to be the last team standing when it comes to the AFC. So I'm excited to see that game.
I think we said last week, Stu, we had Baltimore and Buffalo in the AFC Championship game, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So was that yours too, or is there another one you're looking at that you're interested in seeing? I should have pulled up the actual games. That might have helped. But
you got Detroit, Green Bay.
I actually have the Commanders and the Giants.
Really? Okay.
And I'm really interested to see I want to see if Jaden Daniels is who he is out the gate. I want to see that. But I also want to see if the New York Giants can get their act together. I think just from all the off-season noise, the stuff that happened with Saquon Barkley 2 years ago, I think just the culture of football in New York needs a lifting hand. And I think if they come out and be competitive and make that game, what people want to look at, not just the beating that in my mind might happen if they don't have a good situation under the center. I think America deserves that, because America's team clearly is also in hurt.
They are going to kick off this 2025 season. America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, will be at the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. That's Thursday night on NBC and Peacock, 8:20 p.m. Some other matches of note. There's a Friday night game, Kansas City versus the Los Angeles Chargers in Brazil. It says here that's on YouTube. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff on Friday night. And then you get into your slate on Sunday. Some other games of note, just kind of looking through some of these here. Pittsburgh, New York Jets is one interesting. Aaron Rodgers taking on his former team. You mentioned the Giants and the Commanders. You've got Houston at the Rams, Detroit at Green Bay, San Francisco at Seattle. So you got some stuff to pick from, especially in the afternoon there. I'd imagine more than likely. Well, I think the first week, Fox and CBS both do double headers, week one. So you're going to have a whole bunch of football on Sunday to watch. And then, of course, the nightcap on Sunday night, Baltimore and Buffalo. The Monday night game is Minnesota versus Chicago. So we'll be able to finally let the players get out there, and all the storylines we've been talking about since February, we can finally start to see some of these things start to unfold. We've got to get out of here. Special thanks to Bucky Brooks for coming through for the episode. Again, you can watch the Bucky Brooks Show on Bleav. Just go to the YouTube channels, youtube.com/Bleav, and you can watch his show. It's 2-3 times a week. Brings on different guests and personalities and whatnot there. And of course, again, like we mentioned earlier in the show, me and Stu going to 2 times a week. We'll have a live reaction show immediately following the Panthers versus the Jaguars on Sunday. You can watch it on Bleav's YouTube channel. And then our regular episodes will be, I think we're doing on Tuesdays. So probably around Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll get you ready for the next upcoming game. Stu, we usually do a Stu's take of the week before we get out of here. Did you have his take or anything to get us out?
I got no take, but I'm interested to see what the Hawkeye the chain movement crew, what that whole situation is going to be like. They got the I guess they got a deal with Sony where they got these cameras that are basically going to detect where the ball is on the field.
Really?
At all times. Yeah.
So they're gonna be able to do first downs and stuff that way.
Yeah. So the efficiency there
It's
is
gonna
better
look like
be
tennis.
on point.
Yeah. So it's gonna be like tennis. When you look at a tennis match and how when they spot them in and out, so it'd be just like the tennis match. So like
they do something like that in baseball too, like a strike camera thing or something. So man, robots taking over. It's
AI, baby.
Y'all
better go find y'all some value in a job. Make sure nobody else can do it. Not even a robot.
Make sure AI can't do what you're doing right now, because if they can, it's only a matter of time. On that note, we'll get out of here. We will see you guys next week. Join us Sunday again for the instant reaction show for Bleav in Panthers after Panthers versus Jaguars. Will be on the Bleav YouTube channel. For Bucky Brooks, for Jonathan Stewart, this is Desmond Johnson. You've been watching and listening to the Bleav in Panthers podcast here on Bleav Podcast Networks, powered by Fanduel. Keep pounding.